Have you ever felt like your world is just gray? Like you're walking through the same day, the same problems on repeat? That's where our story begins. With a man who had every reason to be bitter. But in one quiet, ordinary moment, he did something so simple it didn't just change his day. It changed his entire life. Let me introduce you to Leo. Leo was a carpenter. A good one. He loved the smell of fresh wood, the feel of a smooth finish under his hands. For 20 years, he ran a small shop in his town. It was his pride, his sanctuary. But life, as it sometimes does, had other plans. First, the big hardware store opened on the edge of town. Slowly, his regular customers drifted away, lured by lower prices and brighter aisles. Then his hands, the hands that shaped so much beauty, they started to ache. A constant, dull throb the doctors said was arthritis. It got harder to hold the chisel, to sand for hours, to feel the grain. The very tools that were his friends became a source of pain. Leo had to make a terrible choice, and he closed his shop. The sign came down. The lights went out. He found a job as a night security guard at a quiet office building. Paid the bills, but not much more. His days felt empty, directionless. His nights were long and lonely, walking empty hallways under the buzz of fluorescent lights. He missed the sunlight in his workshop. He missed the sound of his own radio. He missed the purpose, the deep satisfaction of creating something from nothing. He started to see the world through a lens of loss. The rain wasn't refreshing. It was gloomy, keeping people indoors. A friend's success wasn't something to celebrate. It was a reminder of what he didn't have anymore. A family gathering felt like a spotlight on his own quiet struggle. Leo was stuck in a story of what was and what could have been. And the weight of it, that weight was so heavy. It was in his shoulders, in his slow walks, even in his silence. One cold Tuesday night, everything felt sharper, worse. His hands were particularly painful, a deep ache that made his fingers stiff. The heating in the office building was broken, and a cold draft snaked through the halls, finding him no matter where he sat. On his break, shivering a little, he called his daughter, Maya, who lived a few hours away. He just wanted to hear her voice. He hoped for a little warmth, a little connection, a reminder that he was still someone's dad. The call was short. Maya was busy, helping her own son with homework. She sounded tired, distracted. "Everything okay, Dad?" she asked, kindly but quickly. Leo, not wanting to burden her, to be another item on her to-do list, just said, Yes, all fine, just cold. Don't worry about me." They hung up with a promise to talk longer soon, a promise that felt thin in the cold air. That moment, sitting alone in the dim, green glow of the guard's office, was his lowest point. The silence wasn't just quiet. It was loud with his own thoughts. They echoed. This is it, he thought. This is what it all added up to. Unseen, unnoticed, just waiting for the next shift to end, for the next day to pass. He felt a deep, hollow sadness, and right beside it, a simmering anger. Anger at his failing hands. Anger at the big store that took his life's work. Anger at the cold, at the loneliness. Even a little unfair anger at Maya for being too busy to save him from this feeling. He needed to get it out. He pulled out his old notebook, the one he used to sketch furniture designs. He wanted to write down all this frustration, to give it a name, to put it on paper so maybe it would leave his heart. At the top of a blank page, he pressed the pencil hard and wrote, "What's wrong?" And he began to list them. 1. My hands hurt all the time. 2. I lost my business, my life's work. 3. This job is lonely and meaningless. 4. I barely see my family anymore. 5. I'm just getting older and weaker, and it's only going down from here. He stared at the list. It was a perfect, brutal picture of his pain, and it made him feel worse, smaller, completely defeated, confirmed every dark thought. He put his head in his hands. Then, from somewhere deep inside, maybe from a memory of his wife, Anna, who had always found the one flower blooming in the crack of the sidewalk, a different thought whispered. It wasn't loud. It was fragile, almost silly against the roar of his sadness. A quiet, what if? What if you looked at the other side? Just for a moment. Not to pretend the pain isn't there, but just to see what else is there. What if? With a heavy sigh, a sigh that came from his very bones, Leo turned to a fresh page. This felt harder than writing the first list. Much harder. His mind fought it. This is foolish, it said. What good will it do? But something, that little whisper, pushed him. He pressed the pencil again. At the top, he wrote, "What's right?" He sat and waited. The clock ticked. The first one took forever. It was like digging through concrete. Finally, he wrote, 1. My hands, they hurt, but they still work. They can still hold a cup of tea. They held my daughter when she was small. They built her a crib. Writing it felt strange, unfamiliar, like stretching a muscle he hadn't used in years. Then, another came a little quicker. 2. I lost my shop. But for 20 years I built things. Real things. Tables families eat on. Cradles for newborns. Bookshelves that hold stories. That legacy is still there, in homes all over this town. Something shifted. Just a tiny, almost invisible crack in the thick wall he'd built around his heart. 3. This job is lonely, but it's peaceful, and it pays my rent. It gives me a place to go, a reason to get dressed. 4. I miss Maya, but she's happy. She's built her own life, a good life. She calls me. She tries. She loves me. 5. I'm getting older, but I'm here. I woke up this morning. I have this warm coat. I have this breath in my lungs. He kept going. The list grew, not with big, dramatic things, but with tiny specks of light in his dark room. 6. The old oak tree outside my window is still standing so strong through all these storms. 7. The taste of my morning coffee is bitter and warm. 8. The librarian, Mrs. Finch, who always remembers my name and saves the history books for me. 9. The fact that I can still read, learn, and think about things beyond these four walls. He didn't stop until he had 15 things. 15 small, fragile, stubbornly beautiful things. He looked from the first page, "What's wrong?" to the second. The "What's right" page was longer. Messier, filled with a different kind of truth.
Aquita, Kindertruth.
And then the most unexpected thing happened. A single warm tear rolled down his cheek. It wasn't a tear of sadness. It was a tear of release, of seeing something he had chosen to ignore for so long. The sheer, overwhelming presence of goodness that was still there, patiently waiting to be noticed. Now, Leo didn't solve all his problems that night. His hands still ached the next morning. The heater was still broken. But he was different. The room hadn't changed, but his eyes had. He started a new ritual. Every night on his break, he'd write 3 things on his What's Right page. Some days it was easy. A stunning sunset over the parking lot. A kind word from the cleaning lady. The smell of rain on concrete. Some days it was hard, a real struggle, and he'd write things like, "The pain is a little less today," or "I had the strength to make my bed," or "I didn't lose my temper." But he did it. Every single day. It was his practice. His anchor. Weeks later, Maya came for an unexpected visit. She walked into his small apartment, put down her bag, and stopped. She looked at him, really looked at him. "Dad, what's different?" she asked, her head tilted. Leo smiled a real, easy smile. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" She looked around, as if searching for a new piece of furniture. "I don't know. The light feels lighter in here. You feel lighter." He didn't say much. He just picked up his notebook from the side table. He didn't show her the first page. He handed her the second one, the one that was now filled with weeks of small, grateful lines. She read it, her eyes moving slowly down the pages. And then her own eyes filled with tears, but they were smiling tears. That visit wasn't rushed. They talked, really talked, for hours. He asked about her life and he truly listened. Leo's story didn't become a fairy tale. He didn't win a lottery or magically open a new shop. But his life became rich. deeply, quietly rich. He started noticing more: the intricate pattern of rain on the window pane, the dedication of the postman in the snow, the simple, miraculous gift of a deep, clean breath. He began volunteering at a community youth workshop, teaching kids how to sand wood, how to join two pieces together. His hands couldn't do the heavy work, but they could guide small, uncertain hands. They could pass on the feel of smooth wood. He found a new purpose, not in being the master carpenter, but in being the guide, the encourager. So what is the real lesson of Leo's story? It's not that gratitude is a magic wand that makes pain disappear. It doesn't. Life is still hard, challenges are real, and our hurts are valid. The power of a thankful heart is far more subtle and far more powerful. It changes what you see. When you only train your eyes to look for what's missing, for what's broken, for what hurts, your world becomes very small and very dark. It becomes a list of lacks. But when you consciously, actively choose to look for what is already there, no matter how small, how simple, how ordinary, you switch on a light inside yourself. And in that light, you see the strength you forgot you had. You see connections you were too clouded to notice. You see possibilities and kindnesses hidden in plain sight. Your what's wrong list will write itself. It's loud and demanding, and it shouts for your attention. But your what's right list? That one needs you. It needs your quiet attention. It's a choice. A simple, daily, revolutionary choice to turn your gaze, even just a few degrees, toward the light. Start small. Right now. As this video ends, ask yourself, what is one thing in this very moment that you can be thankful for? The device you're watching this on, connecting you to ideas? Is the air filling your lungs without you even asking? A memory? A person? A sensation that brings you a flicker of peace? Find it. Acknowledge it. Hold it in your mind for just 5 seconds. Write it down if you can. Because that act, that simple, deliberate turning of your heart, it doesn't just change your mood for a minute. My friend, that is how you begin to change everything. It was like he had been standing in a dark room, complaining about the blackness, and he had just, for the first time, felt for the light switch. And he found it.